I'm John Dodson. I'm an architect. I've got conservation accreditation for all listed buildings from grade 1 to standard churches, and I'm a member of the Leicester DAC as one of the advising architects, and we have done an experiment at a church at Thornton, which is over near Markfield in Leicestershire. Thornton is an interesting church because it's built on the side of a hill, fairly steep hill. Part of the church has walls which are below ground and parts of the church are above ground. The church is inherently, or was inherently, damp, and we have put in the core conservation system about 18 months ago, and I have actually watched the damp in the walls receding. We've actually in 18 months halved the amount of dampness in the building itself, and the building, besides being measurably less damp, also smells less damp. Where we put the piece of equipment from core conservation was in the vestry, which was inherently very damp. We'd taken all the plaster off the walls of the vestry just to try and get the walls dry. We'd had a dehumidifier in there to try and dry the walls out prior to using the equipment from core conservation. We have now turned this dehumidifier off, and we're relying purely on the stuff from core conservation, and the wall is drier than it was when we were trying to suck out the water with the dehumidifier. There used to be puddles of water on the floor within the vestry area. That has now dried and continues to be dry. The system works. Back in the early 70s, we had tried to use the rent-a-kill system, which worked very well, but it had a very, very short life period due to the corrosion of the copper cabling in the walls. It would obviously sit in a damp wall, corrode and break down, and that was the end of the actual system because there was no continuity. I've never tried to sort of drill or put anything into the walls. We've just used natural ventilation and the walls being allowed to naturally breathe. But that helps and stops the build-up of moisture in the wall to a certain extent, but again it's not driving the moisture down and back out of the walls, as we found now happens using the core conservation system. Rising damp definitely exists. Where I removed plaster from the wall has been actually running with water behind. It's there, it rises due to positive electrical impulses into the wall. It's not just capillary action. It is, I believe, because of the work that I did very early on with the powered osmosis system. It all relates to positive charges within the wall. Other systems which say you can damp proof a church wall don't work because the walls, having a outer skin of stone, a very rubble core which may consist of fine particles, mud, clay, bits of lime, anything that was out on the wheelbarrow on a Friday night. So it's impossible to try and put anything into the wall besides an electrical charge of some form to damp proof a rubble wall. Just doesn't work.
Thank you. What were your first thoughts about the system when you first heard about this initially?
Very sceptical. In fact, I could not see how the equipment worked whatsoever. I have to say, my advice to the DAC was to reject the first application we'd seen coming in to use this piece of kit, and it wasn't until I actually was approached by Core Conservation and they offered us a free trial to prove their system was working that I changed my mind. But I have now changed my mind. The system does work and is effective. So it's a very strange system, but it has its uses because it works. The way they've tested and done the reports on the magnetic system is by weighing and drying amounts of material taken from the walls and the mortar, and they've all shown about a 50% drop in moisture content. It's an accurate way. It's not done with just two prongs on the end of a meter. It is an accurate system of measurement.
Would you recommend it for all buildings?
Yeah, I would recommend it. I'd recommend it because I've seen it working at Thornton. Prior to doing Thornton, no, I wouldn't have recommended it because I could not see how it would work at all, because there was no connection between the unit and the walls. It works on a magnetic and system on its own, but it does appear to work. I'm always interested in new technology, and this is a piece of kit which seems to work. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.